Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is October 17th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You can see Hawaii here. There's the state of California. We got our tropical cyclone under development here off the coast of Mexico, and perhaps another one back off to the east there as well. We'll take a little bit of a look at that here in a moment. This one, I believe, will be called Norma once it does develop. High confidence in that. You can see the atmospheric river pointing into British Columbia here as well in the infrared satellite imagery. Looking a bit closer here, you can see that 90% chance for the development of Norma here, and then this one over the next few days may also develop. Right now, just a low chance in the next 48 hours. Taking a look at things a little bit more closely, you can see, I believe this is the rabbit fire here across some of the central or southern Sierra Nevada here, and that's what's producing that smoke off to the east of Fresno and north of Bakersfield there. And there is a couple more fires out there. They're not too big, but just a reminder that it is still fire season out there, especially as we warm up this week. Things are going to be dry and warm, so heads up for that. Still keep your wits about you and make sure we don't cause any more. But you can also see the low clouds here along the coastline. There's some dense fog advisories out there this morning as well. You can see it infiltrated into the Bay Area also, and then you can see Lake Tulare out there to the south of Fresno, still persistent and still there. And it depends on what we're going to get this winter to see how long that lake hangs on for. It could hang on for another year or two, depending on conditions for Sierra Nevada and how much precipitation we get this winter and early next spring. Now, taking a look here, a lot of the fires across North California are no longer growing. I believe all these complexes are no longer growing. So here, this is probably still some smoldering going on and whatnot. But if we look a bit further south, the rabbit fire that I showed you there on the GOES 18 satellite imagery, you can see it has grown quite a bit there in the last 24 hours. It's still relatively small fire, but if you're wondering where that smoke is coming from, that is it. And you can see the Peak House and the Quarry fire up there as well. So still, it is technically fire season still here in California. I mean, we haven't got the fall and winter rains coming in here just yet, so keep that in the back of your mind. And we do have this extreme sneaker wave risk here, and this is Eureka, California, and this goes up and down the California coastline, probably down towards the Bay Area as well. This would include Washington and Oregon also, so just kind of keep this in the back of your mind. I may actually do a separate video on what constitutes sneaker wave risk here, but I won't talk about that today in today's briefing. I'll probably put that together here over the next few days. And you can see the total swell and height and direction. And as we go on in through Thursday, check it out. Might be some nice wave watching up and down the coastline here as the swell from the storm out across the Gulf of Alaska makes its way towards California, mainly on the day Thursday. And then we get another break. And if we go off into the future a little bit more, there's been that trough that's been showing up in our extended forecast. Could bring some more wave action down the coastline. And so we'll take a look at that in a little bit of detail as we go through the video here today. And we are going to be warming up here the next few days. This is Los Angeles National Weather Service. You can see the forecast highs Wednesday and Thursday for the coast, downtown LA, the valleys, deserts, and mountains there. So heads up. I mean, overall, relatively speaking, compared to the summer, it's not a major heat wave or anything, but you're definitely going to feel this warm up here as we go on in through this week, 8 to 12 degrees above normal. And this is much warmer than normal here Thursday and Friday. National Weather Service Hanford, you can see these temperatures warming up quite nicely across some of the valley areas. Thursday and Friday, and then we're going to start cooling back down again. It looks like it's still a little bit out in the forecast. There's still some model disagreement. We will be looking at that as we go through the video, and you can see they kind of highlight that here with Saturday and Sunday's forecast getting back down to some below normal temperatures here for much of the state of California. This day in SoCal weather history, October 17th, 2004. Check it out. Water spout, 2015, another water spout out there, and people actually got a picture of that one back in 2015, and you still can get interesting thunderstorm activity here at this time of year. So great stuff there from the National Weather Service San Diego. This is the mean temperature so far for the month of October. You can see much of California actually has been below average, except some of the coastal areas here and some of the valley has been above average here. So kind of a mixed bag across the state of California, and Nevada has been quite a well below average here as we've gone through just over the first half of October. And Arizona's been above average, at least the eastern portions have been. Now, this is looking at percent of average precipitation. This is spanning the last 3 months. So look, you can still see where Tropical Storm Hillary came up over Southern California and went through Nevada. But look at that coastal area here for Central California. It's been quite a ways below normal there. And I'll also show you the Drought Palmer Index here in a moment. It does include that area as well. But anyway, let's start to dive into things here. Here goes the GFS. Look at this ridge building up over much of the southwest here. It's going to keep us nice and warm through probably about Friday Friday. And then you can see the trough starting to knock down the heights, and this ridge gets out of their trough. You're looking at a little bit more inclement weather and definitely a cool down with the position of this trough here as it drops down across California. And then you can kind of see it absorbing what would be tropical storm or hurricane Norma and kind of keeping it off to our south and east, not allowing that to get back up over the area. But then off in the extended forecast, which really, of course, is this kind of fantasy at this point, but you can see another ridge trying to build and then maybe another trough towards the end of the month here. But we'll worry about that as we get a little bit closer here. Taking a look at the European, this is last night's run versus itself yesterday afternoon's run here. So if we put this into motion here, you can clearly see the ridge building. This is what's going to bring our nice warm temperatures here, probably through about Friday again. And then the next trough comes knocking on the door. And you can actually see last night's run actually brought this trough a little bit deeper on the European, but we're still getting some model disagreement. The GFS for the same time period backed off a little bit here. So we're still working out some details in this next trough, and we'll be doing so for the next couple of days. This is the European. We're looking at things a little bit closer. Here's California, Nevada, Arizona. This is last night's run. Again, we're looking 500 millibars, about 18,000 feet in the atmosphere. Gives us a good visual representation of if we're looking at a ridge or a trough over the area. And you can clearly see the ridge here. This would be Thursday morning. And we continue to scroll on in towards Friday afternoon. You can see that next trough starting to come into California here. And by the time we get towards Saturday afternoon, it's starting to make itself felt here across the region. And by the time we get towards Sunday night, this will be here. You can clearly see the pattern change coming for California and erasing that heat that we are going to have as we go through this week. This is kind of an interesting view here. You can see the Hawaiian Islands here. There's Alaska. There's Japan. You're looking at China over here. There's the continent of Africa. There's the lower 48. Canada here, Europe would be here. So you're looking at the northern hemisphere and the North Pole there. And this is what's known as Rossby waves. I talked about this in the Columbus Day storm video that I do, and you can kind of see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Rossby waves going on right now. They're also known as long waves. And if I put it into motion, you can kind of see where that colder air resides across the northern hemisphere. And where this boundary sets up there is known as the mid-latitudes, and that's where mid-latitude cyclones form there. And you can see the higher heights there over the equator. So the mid-latitudes are the clash between that warmer air across the equator and the chillier air across the northern hemisphere, the North Pole there. And of course, this gradient gets enhanced the further we go into the fall and winter months here as the cold air gets built up even more. The direct rays of the sun are now south of the equator, and things are cooling off here across the northern hemisphere. Now, this is taking a look at the European. This is yesterday afternoon's run. We're looking at 2-meter temperature anomalies. So kind of showing you that we are going to be dealing with some above average temperatures here as we go through Thursday and Friday. But then as we go towards Saturday, you notice the cool down start to sneak in here. And by the time we get on in towards the early portion of next week, you can see those below average temperatures kind of returning to California here. But again, there's still some uncertainty with how this is going to unfold. We'll continue to watch this over the next couple of days, but you can see the potential for this pattern change as we roll on into the later portion of October. Here we go with daily 2-meter max temperature, national blend of models. This would be for today, Tuesday the 17th. You can see some 80s into the valley areas and pretty warm, even out towards the coastal areas and the desert areas warming up quite nicely here. Here's tomorrow, Wednesday. Thursday, warming up even a bit more. Look at some 90s, low 90s returning to some of the valley areas here in the deserts, warmed up maybe over 100 degrees for some areas like Thermal, 102. And then Friday, a little bit of a cool down starting here. And Saturday, you'll notice it even more as you see some of the highs only for Sacramento getting to the mid 70s there as well. Even the desert areas cooling down a bit here by the time we get to the 21st. Here's the 22nd, cooling down even further. 23rd, you can see the deserts. I mean, look at even Arizona dropping down into some of the low to mid 80s here. The desert area is really cooling off here. And, some of the highs, maybe for Bakersfield, only towards 69 degrees. And then look at Tuesday, Wednesday. You guys get the picture here with some potential troughing returning to the state of California. It's been kind of a mixed bag so far this month. This is looking at total precipitation in inches. European, yesterday afternoon's run. So let's see if that next trough has any precipitation potential. We're kind of scrolling through things here. Now we go towards Saturday morning, Sunday morning right there. And you can see some precip returning to Northwest California, maybe making it down towards the Bay Area. No promises on that just yet, but that would be the initial system with that trough. And then maybe some additional precip. You can see a little bit starting to show up maybe for Southern California there as well as we go through the 26th. But again, no promises with that. We're just kind of watching to see how this trends at this point. Here's the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. This was issued yesterday, October 16th. And we'll see what this updates to today. But you can clearly see the west in a below average signal here. This is 8 to 14 day and actually includes California, Nevada, and Arizona, some of Utah here with above average precipitation potential all the way through the end of the month. So we'll see again how this trends. And this is something we'll be watching here. We were watching this last fall and winter quite a bit and early spring. This shows the snow water content of the snow trapped in the Sierra Nevadas. Right now we're not dealing with any, but we will watch this build as we go through the fall and winter months. It's kind of fun to watch it here. You see we were at record values here as we went through this early spring. Very nice snowpack that we had across much of the Sierra Nevada. Now, this is what I talked about a bit earlier here. Here is the Palmer Index, long-term Palmer ending October 14th. And you can kind of see we are in this. Let me scroll down a little bit here so you can see it. It says moderate drought here for some of the central California coastline here. So I'm a little bit worried that we may start to introduce some drought conditions here across some of California if we don't start to get some rainfall across central California there. But you can see a lot of Nevada and the desert areas and the southern California coastline here doing quite well, unusually moist, and especially Nevada, portions of Utah included there. And this is just the reminder here that as we go through this week, we are still going to be dealing with some potential fire danger here across the region. It's low risk here, but just a heads up for it. The fire season is not over just quite yet. So anyway, yeah, Tropical Storm Norma down there. We'll continue to watch that. We'll watch this ridge build for the next few days, and then we'll continue to watch the models and see just how fast that trough is going to return as we go through the weekend upcoming here. And yeah, and I'll probably do a video on the sneaker waves. That sounds like something fun to do here. I'll probably put that together over the next few days, and we'll kind of go over what conditions cause them to put out those forecasts for sneaker waves. You see that a lot up and down the west coast of the USA, especially shallow continental coast out here. Kind of helps that out. But anyway, we'll look into that in a little more detail as we go. But anyway, I hope you guys are liking these videos. The channel's about to get up and running here, and I think what I'm going to do, we need about 800 more view hours. So hopefully you guys can, jump on in and watch the channel here and get this up. And then once that does, we'll be able to get members. And the first member that signs up to the page, I will have a giveaway for them. So that will probably be occurring over the next several days or so. So if you're the first member, I got a prize waiting for you. And of course, we'll continue to go ahead and do these daily briefings. Hope you guys are liking this stuff. Check out the videos on the Pacific Northwest as well. I also did one about how strong was that wind on the Pacific Northwest page. You guys might find that interesting. But otherwise, yeah, I'll do my daily briefing tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.